Hey everybody, it's Party Elite. Welcome you back to another episode of our Planet Zoo franchise mode Let's Play. We're gonna dive right back into Elite Zoo South. Today is New Animal Day, and if you're surprised by the animal that has almost certainly been featured in the thumbnail and perhaps even in the title, then that's perfectly fair, because I'll be honest, so am I. It's not the direction I was expecting to go at all today. I was torn between a couple of choices, and you know what some of them are, and the others I'm still keeping sort of mysterious for some reason. I don't know why. But ultimately, I guess I'm kind of glad I was a bit vague about my plans last session, because they took a complete left turn literally minutes before I started recording. I got some very interesting comments last session with regards to, a variety of things, but there was one that really stood out to me, and, I sort of, rested on it for a little while, and it stayed on the back of my mind for a little while, until, like I said, again, literally moments ago, it sparked a thought for me, and I got really excited, and so I'm changing my original plans for today's sessions for a new set of plans, but I'm fairly certain that most of you will be perfectly okay with that change of plans as we start to explore this space over here a little differently than what I had initially intended, or at least that's my hope. One of the most important things in order to make sure that's actually possible is to see if we can actually get a gate, a habitat gate to fit over here somehow. It might not work. Now, the unfortunate thing is that you cannot put them above, at a higher level or anything. It has to be at the ground level. Is there a spot? I thought I saw it turn blue somewhere. Because this is integral for this implementation over here. To be able to put an entrance. Oh, okay. Well, that's going the wrong way. Well, that's telling me is if I'm able to flatten this a little bit, I might actually be able to get an entrance down over here. Okay, we'll have to toy around with this. I do hope it's possible. I might want to edit the barrier back there. So let me just do that really quickly. Now, I want to do it before I dive into the time lapse, because if I'm not able to fit an entrance over here, then I of course need to change my plans back to my original plans for today's session. So I hope you don't mind me doing this in real time really quickly before we dive into the time lapse. The time lapse will be, ASAP, as it were. My plan is, of course, to go over the animal's Zoopedia page, as I have made a new habit of doing. I really quite enjoy doing that together and just sort of familiarizing ourselves with the animal before we dive into their enclosure work. So we're going to do that, and as soon as I'm done that, we're going to dive into the time lapse. And then after the time lapse, we're going to do a bit of management, of course, get the actual animal in. And I'm saying animal generically right now because, the more I think about it, the more I worry that I might not be able to do my changed plans. But we shall persevere. Hopefully it'll be possible. If not, we still have a new animal coming today. But let's see. I really do hope we can make this work. I feel like we can. Let's see. Get the wooden habitat gate. This is all obstructed, it says, right? Well, because of the path, no doubt. What about, it doesn't let you just... Oh, it does. Ooh, it does, doesn't it? Okay, interesting. So we could put it down somewhere over here and have a long kind of lead up to it. Rather not do that. Oh, that's on the ground. I don't need it on the ground. I need it, up top over here. Yeah, I kind of wish you could... be a bit more specific with this stuff. Anyway, as I try to figure this out, this thing needs to move. The barrier down there needs to move, so I have a bit more freedom. I wish it wouldn't snap so much. In fact, let me check. There's maybe a checkbox that I'm missing over here. For snapping. There we go. Get rid of the habitat perimeter checkbox. Will that still snap? It will still snap. Alright, fair enough. What about over here? Anything? Height snaps, length, angle? No, nothing. Okay, cool. We'll have to make some edits then, not a problem. Now, as I do this, I just want to mention something really quickly. It's something that comes up fairly often in the comments, and it's something I try to address, as often as possible, and however possible. But I've seen a fair bit of it over the last handful of episodes, and I just want to touch on it so that I've given, I've sort of given everybody an explanation with regards to what we do every episode. I know that sounds like a very strange statement, so let me elaborate. The comments that I'm referring to are ones that express preference in terms of what is or isn't shown in any given episode. Now, I stand by my statement that I always make. Feedback is always welcome. It helps me make decisions about what folks want to see versus what they don't want to see, how they want to see things, what they want to see on the channel, etc., etc. So all that, don't take this to mean me saying, hey, stop giving me feedback. Feedback is always welcome. The only thing, the reason why I'm addressing it in this way is because it's something that's fairly prevalent and fairly common in the comments. So I figure that rather than simply just replying to it in the comments, sort of commenting on it in a video would hopefully address some of the concerns. So I've received quite a few comments with regards to, of course, as is natural, some folks are interested in certain aspects of the game while others are not, and other folks are interested in certain aspects of the game, whereas others aren't interested in those. This is obviously entirely natural. It is a very big type of game, Planet Zoo. Why? The snapping is going to kill me. It's a very big game, Planet Zoo. There's a lot of things to do in Planet Zoo. At its core, it is a management game, of course, but there's also, the building aspect of it, the time-lapsing and whatnot. There's the trades, there's all sorts of stuff, and we try to do a little bit of everything. I mean, that's why it's a franchise mode Let's Play, that's why it's not a sandbox Let's Play, that's why it's not just one-off construction episodes or anything like that, because for me, all of those aspects are interesting in their own ways. It's why I find Planet Zoo to be so interesting, because it's got so much going on, and it's all done pretty well. So, personally, I'm interested in all the aspects that I include in an episode. Otherwise, I wouldn't include them in the episodes, of course. Now, of course, like I said before, it's a lot of variety, so I understand when, some folks aren't interested in trade sessions, some folks aren't interested in management, some folks aren't interested in time lapses, right? There's a variety, and I try my best to balance things out and experiment with different ways of doing things and seeing what people prefer versus, would rather not, and I try to make adjustments based on your feedback. So I just wanted to say, I see and hear all the comments with regards to, what to do in real time versus what to cut out, etc., etc. But something to consider and something to keep in mind as well is, if I were to, hypothetically, cut out everything that was requested of me to cut out by, different groups of people, then we'd have no videos, right? Because, again, some folks don't want to see management, some folks don't want to see time lapses, some folks don't want to see trade sessions, etc., etc., etc. There's something for everyone, but that also means that there's something that everyone doesn't care for. So that's why, and again, I want to make it very clear, I totally understand the feedback and I totally understand the varied opinions, and it all makes perfect sense. I'm not, saying anything against that. But the reason why I continue to include things that you feel might make you feel as though I've ignored your feedback is because there are other people who are interested in watching that very same thing. And so the best thing I can do is include everything that at least I deem worthy of inclusion. And if you don't want to see something, then you're able to scrub past it or skip past it one way or another through just through YouTube's features, or you can watch it at double time and whatnot. Because again, if I were to cut everything that any one person or any group of people wasn't interested in, eventually we'd have no videos. They'd be 2 minutes long. Because also at the end of the day, another thing to address is if I were to cut things out here and there, at the end of the day, they still take time during the day to accomplish, right? And there's only so many hours in a day, and I only have so many hours to dedicate to any one game. So it ends up, we just end up with shorter episodes as well when we did have episodes, because it's not like I can work off screen for 4 hours and then record for 3 and we have a 1 hour episode. No, I work off screen for X hours and we end up with an hour and a half long episode relatively consistently. So it's not like me including everything is taking away from how much we can accomplish in any given episode, because we have to accomplish all the same things, and we have the same time to accomplish it. Other thing to touch on, of course, is when I do edit stuff out, it's because it's tedium and painful to watch or experience, or, you know, I feel like it would generically be just horrendous to watch. and so I feel like excluding that. So obviously my opinion plays into this a fair bit as well. It's like, what do I find to be interesting for, you know, viewing purposes as well as play purposes. So there's obviously a bit of that as well going on. Anyway, I'm sort of rambling a little bit, but I wanted to address that properly because, as I say always, and I genuinely mean it, I appreciate feedback. I take it all into consideration. It is very important to me. It is very important to my decision-making process. It lets me know, like I always say, what folks want to see on the channel, what I should stop doing, what I should keep doing. But obviously from time to time, you know, I can see everyone's feedback, and I have to combine everyone's feedback and come up with conclusions based on what everyone is saying. And from time to time, I feel like I have to, or not that I have to, but I feel like I want to let everybody know where I'm coming from and why I'm coming from there. And hopefully we can all, you know, kind of like, it's just hopefully to get a better understanding for everyone. Am I making sense? I feel like I'm like, I feel like I've made sense. I feel like y'all understand what I'm saying, but I always get very careful about this stuff because I do not, under any circumstances, want to discourage the giving of feedback. Under no circumstances am I saying, hey, stop it. So please don't. And I think that's why I'm sounding like a broken record right now, because I want to make that so very crystal clear. But yeah, I think I've done a decent job of it. If you're still confused, you're still concerned or upset or, you know, what have you, let me know that as well, right? Like, again, it all matters to me, and I don't just say that. So do let me know, please. Well, it looks like we're actually seeing some success here. Anyway, enough of my broken recordness. If there is confusion, let me know, and I will happily answer any questions or queries in the comments or during the next episode if it calls for a longer bit of addressing. I really want to be able to flatten this because this hideousness is going to just drive me absolutely wild. I don't know if it'll let me recreate the path like this because I really quite like how the path looks over here. Let's see. Well, it's looking promising. Okay, let's undo that. I'm going to just accept this bump over here. I think it's the lesser of two evils. I'm going to try one last thing, and if it doesn't work, then so be it. If it doesn't work, then so yeah, it's not going to... Alright, we could try to go around it. Maybe. There we go. There we go. I knew there was a solution in there somewhere. So how do people actually get over here? How does staff actually get over here? They have to walk from all the way around it. Alright, well, we're going to have to find an easier point of connection. We could probably do... I mean, many of you have been suggesting that I try and find a way to get a connection down to Darwin's Den from this station, and I wholeheartedly agree that that's a necessity, just to make it easier for folks to travel around. Trying to navigate through all these trees right now. A lot of trees. Let's head on down. Okay, where are we? There we go. Okay, so this is Darwin's Den over here. Right? Yes, this is Darwin's Den. The train station is up over there. Are we able to get people? What we might want to do is do like a staircase and elevator setup over here. I think that might be the best way to go about doing it, and then that way the staff will have access to the staff facilities. Well, down over here is just oh yeah, there's actually some stuff down over here that I could use. Definitely worth investigating. Just got to find best way to connect, because there's also like there's so much stuff going on over here. It's a pretty densely packed area. It's a pretty densely packed area. How could we get... Again, this would be for guests as well. I think I'll want to fiddle with that some other time. Staff can for now at least deal with the long journey, and then we'll edit it during like a beauty pass, or maybe just next session. I'll just do it quickly. I feel like enough time has been spent on this so far. So this ends up over here. Can this get a little bit closer? Can we get you a little bit closer? Nah, you're kind of at your limit there, eh? Okay, fair enough. I can work with that. Yeah, I think I can work with that. I think I can. Oh, I'm really excited for this actually. This is again, so what happened here, in case I didn't touch on this earlier, what happened here was a comment came through, well, actually several comments came through about what to do in this space over here. And and combined, sort of percolating in my mind, they combined together, and now rather than just being a water fixture or a garden space, it's actually going to be a full-on enclosure that should make this a more compelling place to come to as well. And I mean, hopefully it'll be an interesting enclosure as well. It's the probably one of the smallest enclosures I will have ever made, so that's a fun challenge as well for me. But I do believe the animal will be more than happy with the space. Now I want to address one last thing. My apologies before we dive into the time lapse, and that is the fact that yes, this is episode 50, 50, kind of wild. Huge milestone. So thank you all very much for joining me in this journey for so very long. Not just Elite Zoo South, but Elite Zoo North together as well. That's quite a few episodes. I know we were talking about doing a tour for the longest time to commemorate the occasion, but I do believe, and many of you suggested as much in the comments as well, that it's maybe still a little too early to do a tour, just because there's so many things that need doing. And is the tour the right call? We're going to find out after the time lapse, is the answer I will give you. Depending on what we're looking at in terms of timing and whatnot, I will make a call there. But I feel like maybe instead we aim for a tour, I don't know, episode 75, or do we just wait until episode 100? Again, there's always so many mixed opinions in the comments that I have to like try and weigh it with also, what I want to accomplish in any given episode. But obviously, we want to commemorate episode 50 in at least some way. If we don't end up doing the tour, we do want to do it in at least one way. So let's do something, folks, that we should have done maybe a long time ago. Let's finally get Pachamama's Garden's name in to truly celebrate this momentous occasion. I think it's the right call to put a bow on one of our long-term projects over here. So let's get Pachamama's Garden up over here. And as I do this as well, folks, again, just to touch on something important that I would otherwise completely forget to do because it's, I guess it's not in my nature, but it was pointed out to me in the comments of not a video, but of the latest community post on the YouTube channel. Folks, pretty exciting news to share. The channel now has its own game store. Now, you'll remember from Elite Zoo North's episode 100, we had our merch. That's a whole different thing. This is for literally purchasing video games. It's a super cool endeavor. It's a super cool opportunity. I'm so excited to be able to say that I have a store where I can curate the video games that get sold, and I can pick and choose and anyway, point being, I have a video game store now that I will link to in the pinned comment down below, as well as probably in the comment in the description down below as well, where you can purchase all sorts of games. Now, the way the platform works is I can choose up to 10 games at any point in time to feature. So it'll be those 10 games that I'm featuring, again, at any point in time, plus any of the associated DLC. And if you purchase from that link, then you will directly support the channel as well. So, if you're planning on getting a game anyway, and you decide to get it from there, it costs the same. So, if there's a sale or something, the platform Nexus GG, it will have sales and stuff as well. What happens is there's a bit of like revenue sharing going on. So it doesn't cost you anything extra, but when you buy from that site, I get a cut of the profits basically. And it's a very transparent site as well. You'll see exactly how much you'll support the channel with any given purchase. So if you're planning on picking up a game and you'd like to support the channel as you do so, if you do it at that link, that's a way to support the channel as you get something that you'd perhaps like as well. The reason why I'm mentioning it during a Planet Zoo episode, as you maybe have surmised, is because you can actually get Planet Zoo at that link, and it's available right now at that link, alongside all of its DLC. So if you were planning on either picking up Picking up Planet Zoo or any of its DLC for yourself or for a friend, either for the holidays or, for Christmas, for Hanukkah, for just because, for the end of the semester, for, to kill time, whatever it might be. Just humbly request that maybe you consider doing it at that link. Again, it's in the description down below. It's also in the pinned comment down below. I won't make a habit of mentioning it too often, maybe when a new DLC drops or something like that. I try not to mention this stuff too often, as I'm sure y'all are very well aware of that by now, but it's a really exciting thing to be able to say, and I wanted to share, of course, with all of you who have been with me and supporting the channel for so very long. It's just, yeah, so thought I'd share that as we get this done. Now, Pachamama's Garden's almost up. Again, I try to make sure that even when we're doing this kind of tedious stuff, I'm at least talking about something that is hopefully interesting or compelling to everybody who might be watching, whether you're interested in me slowly putting down letters or not. Also, I just want to touch on one more thing. Since we're doing this, I saw a comment with regards to how I approach sponsor boards. I just want to mention again, as always, they are 9 out of 10 times, actually more like 9.9 out of 10 times, they are a part of a beauty pass time lapse. It was only this time that I thought I'd experiment a little bit with something a little different. Again, even though I've got 150 episodes under my belt, it's fun to experiment every once in a while and see if something else feels just as, if not more interesting for all of y'all watching. So I've seen your feedback. I've seen the general opinion not to do that. So I will bring them back into time lapse sort of beauty pass time lapse approaches when we next add sponsor boards next month. Pachamama. Yeah, I was like, this isn't enough letters. Pachamama. Yes. I knew the word, but, talking about other stuff while trying to spell a foreign word is its own exercise. So Pachamama's, there we go. Get the garden down below it, and hopefully it'll fit nicely over here. Seemed like a good idea at the time when I started this. I'm wondering if this is not enough space. Again, I still wish... Oh, I actually really quite like that. Pachamamas, I really quite like this. Again, I maintain that having some things at least be scalable would be absolutely wonderful for how construction works in this game. Go ahead and pop you down over here. Oh, this is... This should be so much easier. There we go. Wow. Just happened to click at the right time there. I got to get that apostrophe in there. Make it out of a comma. Pachamama's Garden. But yeah, so again, just to stress, keep the feedback coming. It does make a difference. And as is always the case with feedback, just because it isn't implemented doesn't mean it's not appreciated. Because it does influence my decision-making process. There we go. Just have to find the angle that I'd be able to select all these guys at. Oh. Almost. There we go. Good stuff. Let's group them so that if I ever have to do that again, it's easy. Man, this is truly a momentous occasion. A proper way to celebrate episode 50. Maybe not what everybody expected, but I think it might be a little early for a tour. Not because we lack animals, but because we are already fairly intimate with them, actually. I feel like by virtue of playing in hard difficulty for so long, we've had to like manage these animals a bit more than I'd initially anticipated. So we've actually been spending a fair bit of time with them, just making sure they're happy, making sure they're properly taken care of as well. And relatively recently as well, we did a what's the word I'm looking for? Enrichment item pass for the animals too. Which is why I'm like, all right, we've been close to them relatively recently. I mean, I'd love to be able to do everything, always, obviously, but that's unfortunately, I cannot stop time itself. All right, there we go. Pachamama's Garden. Go ahead and line this up. I mean, that looks pretty good. A little bit over to the side over here, maybe. There we go. I do wonder about colors. They can either be really good or they can be really... Oh, you know what? I like that. It also matches our action on this side, Camp Capuchin and Pachamama's Garden over here. Getting a little bit of a similar treatment. Feels good. Feels good. So as you come in, Pachamama's Garden over here. Get a nice view. Stand under the... Yeah, that's good. Okay, there we go. Episode 50 commemorated in at least one way, right? Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the brand new animal we're going to be adding today, and what the game has to say about it, and what the game has to wait. Sorry. One last thing. I promise. One last thing. I noticed the little gift box that reminded me. Congratulations, everyone. The community challenge has been successfully accomplished. That's awesome. We did it, 100%. Many of you pointed out that I could actually trade out the reindeers and the doll sheep at Elite Zoo North as well. Or not trade out, but release to the wild the reindeers and the doll sheep as well, if I wanted to contribute a bit more. But, you know, they're living happily at Elite Zoo North for now. Let's maybe keep them in reserve for any future, you know, events or trade sessions or what have you. But yeah, we were one of the higher level contributors, so that's definitely a matter of, you know, pride, I would say. And then we've yeah, I would say we were a pretty decent part of that. That felt good. I mean, not just I would say. I mean, the game itself is saying we were a pretty decent part of that. So that feels pretty good. I wanted to share that. It kept slipping my mind. I want to do that as one of the first things this episode. But yeah, there you have it. That's why we didn't go to Elite Zoo North today. Let's go ahead and actually collect all of our unclaimed rewards over here. There we go. We've got ourselves... Ooh, I actually like that quite a bit. I wouldn't mind owning that. In real life, I mean. I like that kind of art style. But anyway, cool. This, of course, will wait until the 2 days that are left are up. Anyway, all right, now, no more distractions. I'm sorry. Now we're on task. Now we're always on task. But oh, hello. I was gonna go with a ring-tailed lemur. I did not realize that the hang on a second. Oh, critically endangered. Endangered. Ooh, hello. Okay, this is interesting. Can they live with each other? They can. Oh man, this is great. This has worked out so amazingly. I'm so okay. This is cool. But now I'm starting to worry, is this enough space for them? Is this enough space for them? All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with the ring-tailed lemur, because that was my... Yeah, we're going to start with the ring-tailed lemur. I was like wondering, what do I want to start with? Because see, the red-ruffed lemur is... the color scheme, I'm not going to lie, the color scheme is a big part of that. They're also critically endangered, so I was like, oh, maybe prioritize them. But I'm gonna stick with my original plan, at least to a degree here, my second original plan from moments before starting recording, because these guys, the black and white actually works quite nicely as well against the reddish, orange, brown back there, and they're also endangered. It's not like they're, you know, it's not like they're, you know, perfectly safe. Domesticated is this? That's a kind of weird. Expect it to be like, I love that the lowest level of concern is least concern, not no concern. I guess that's fair. It says a lot about a lot of stuff. So sure, let's start with the ring-tailed lemur, and if this is enough space, then we'll get the red-ruffed lemur as well. Let me know what y'all think about that. That's exciting. Oh man, that works out quite nicely. All right, let's get down to business over here. Ring-tailed lemur, lemur cata. Population wild is 2,000. That is ridiculously low to think about. Can you imagine only having 2,000 of a thing? Okay, 2,000 of an entire animal. I can totally imagine having less than 2,000 of a thing, like TVs, you know, or you know, many things. But can you imagine 2,000 people? I can't imagine living in a village of just 2,000 people. I'd be like, this is not enough people. Wild to think about. Like all species of lemur, the ring-tailed lemur, or lemur cata, is native to Madagascar and is not naturally found anywhere else in the world. Very cool. Ring-tailed lemurs have a pointed muzzle, cat-like ears, and a long tail that has 12 or 13 white rings, 13 or 14 black rings, and a tip that is always black. They're usually between 15.6 inches and 18.4 inches in size, with a tail of 22.4 inches to 25.2 inches. They live in groups called troops that will travel and forage together. Ring-tailed lemurs are omnivorous and will eat fruit, leaves, insects, and most other food they can find. The ringtail lemur is endangered primarily due to deforestation, mining, and the creation of farmland destroying their habitat. They're also hunted for bushmeat and captured for the illegal pet trade. Madagascar can also have harsh weather conditions and extended periods of drought that can kill large numbers of the population. A special reserve called Beza Mahafali has been created to protect the lemur population and educate the local community on conservation. The reserve also promotes ecotourism and takes part in drought intervention by introducing water sources during periods of harsh weather. Very interesting. Also very cool to see that our existing education boards about deforestation and poaching are relevant. We might want to add one about ecotourism. We'll, of course, want to move where they're positioned, but that is cool to see. That is cool to see. Natural habitat, of course, only found on Madagascar. I always find that fascinating. The other thing I find fascinating is it's so easy to expect these kinds of patternings to be, quote unquote, completely random. But like, for example, just to mention even that like the tip is always black. It's like, oh yeah, interesting. The tip is always black on the tail. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I love Zoopedia. All right, species data. Now, important to note. They can be held back by water. We're probably going to build glass and wooden climb-proof barriers over here for them, alongside the mud clay wall behind them. They do need a fair bit of climbing, of course, and not too much land, which is why I was thinking they'd probably be okay in this space. I hope so. Okay. Species data. Group size, excluding juveniles, is 3 to 30. 1 male, 29 females. That's a lot. I don't think we're ever going to have a full house, especially not if we're putting ring-tailed and red-ruffed lemurs together. Now, hold on. Red-ruffed lemurs, see, both of these lemurs, the guests can enter the habitat. But I do wonder if we try to do something with that here. I don't know. It wouldn't be a walkthrough per se. The moment you make it a walkthrough, it's got to be a much bigger space. And I'm trying to challenge myself in a few different ways. So let's stick with that. Also, they are tropical biome, which, if I recall correctly, Western lowland gorilla is also tropical biome. So we have kind of a similar biome going on, at least if not a similar geographical area entirely. Sorry, red ring-tailed lemur. Getting myself distracted here. So dominance is matriarchal. Their mating system is promiscuous, and the relation with the humans is neutral, and guests can, in fact, enter the habitat, as we just discussed. 22 to 24 inches, depending on male versus female. Life expectancy is 21 years. Weight is 6 pounds across the board. Maturity at 3 years. Sterility at 16. Okay, so they do have a couple of years left after sterility. 1 to 2 offspring per mating event, fair enough. 4 months gestation, 12-month interbirth, and reproduction in captivity is easy. Excellent. Their conservation status should maybe help us in making more conservation credits by releasing to the wild as well. Social needs. Ring-tailed lemurs live in family groups of up to 30 individuals. The females are interrelated, and the males migrate from their family group when they reach adulthood. Lemur troops spend daylight hours foraging for leaves and fruit, moving several kilometers a day. They're playful and friendly towards members of their own group, but may be aggressive to other lemur troops. Reproduction. Ring-tailed lemurs are promiscuous. Both males and females will mate with multiple partners. Who mates with whom depends on the dominant structure within the troop, with low-ranking males unlikely to mate at all. Female lemurs will be pregnant for 4.5 months before giving birth to 1 or 2 babies. Infants will be carried by their mother until they are 6 months old, when they will move around completely independently. Females remain with their mother's group for life, whereas young males leave their mother's group at 3 to 5 years of age in search of an unrelated group. They will move groups several times throughout their life. Ooh, okay, so what happens to... If you're a female lemur... Oh, there's no, like... Oh, they have a matriarchal system. Who takes charge? If a female remains with a mother's group for life, then what? Who becomes the matriarch eventually? Do they also have a sense of seniority? Is it primogeniture? Curious. Anyway. Research status, of course, we have some of their enrichment items already done. That's good to see, but none of their food, obviously. It looks like their food enrichment is done as well. Good. Interspecies, we already checked that, and that means we can get started. I mean, I'm wondering, am I having second thoughts? Am I having doubts about this? I like the idea a lot. I hope you all do as well. I mean, I know it's coming right out of left field. We never discussed this once. In fact, we discussed quite the opposite for this space previously, but sometimes you're just hit by inspiration. You don't want to hold back. That's how I'm feeling right now. I say we dive into it. I say we do it. I say this is the right space for it. Makes this area a bit more compelling as guests come down. Gives more reasons for guests to take the train over here and for guests who have walked over here to come up over here. Eventually, we will be adding a connection to the station down over there. It makes the station a bit more interesting. Yeah, I think this is the right call. And we'll see about the red ruffed lemurs. We'll see about them afterwards. I believe that's everything I wanted to touch on before we dove into the time-lapse, folks. So without further ado, I suppose, yeah, it's time-lapse time. All right, folks, this is a very interesting time-lapse for me because I take on a couple of challenges that I don't think I've really taken on before. I mean, for one, this is hands down the smallest enclosure I think I've ever built in any of my episodes, Elitsu North or South. That provides its own challenges, not just in terms of, well, something I'll touch on after the time-lapse, but also in terms of just, moving the camera around comfortably, trying to use all the pieces appropriately. I always feel like a lot of the ideas that I want to execute, the reason why they end up being so large is because to get the curves right, to get the space right, to get the level of detail right, everything has to be a little bit on the larger side. But here, that's not an option. We've got kind of this predefined space around which I'd like to work. So yeah, it was a fun challenge for sure, and I am quite pleased with the end result. There are quite a few edits and changes that will be required still. There's a couple of pieces that will need finessing and adjusting, but as I always do, I want to try and bring the animal in after I've done an initial sort of build, and after the animal comes in, I can actually make adjustments as required. And let me just say, I'm very glad that I did that. I'm going to leave it at that for now. Again, after the time-lapse, we'll talk more on that. But for now, just kind of establishing the perimeter over here, I wanted to make sure that the, if necessary, I could set the right kind of barriers and whatnot, but I can't because of obstruction. I guess the going through architectural pieces with a wooden log isn't working, and it's kind of unfortunate because the logs that are construction pieces are all climbable, the ones that look like that. However, with a barrier piece, you can always just check the box that says not climbable or climb proof or whatever. So it's a little bit of a bummer that I wasn't able to rely on that, but that's okay. We work around it, we find a different solution, and I'm pleased with the solution, so no issue there. Just wanted to mention that. But yeah, so figuring out this kind of entry spot over here so that our staff can deliver the animal and sort of stay out of people's way, I guess, a little bit. And I sort of toyed around with this idea of having a second level where guests can walk through the enclosure. I do abandon this. I felt like it was a little, I don't know, it's already pretty, maybe it's just me, but it already feels pretty claustrophobic. And I understand it's enough space for the animals and whatnot. It's closer to enough space for the animals, but for me it felt a little claustrophobic, so adding the footpath up there was just a little bit too much in my opinion, so I decided against that. Now if we wanted to implement that, we still can, of course. Let me know what y'all think. I thought it would be pretty cool to have this upper level kind of walk around of the enclosure, but again, the lines aren't perfectly circular, so that was bothering me. It felt very claustrophobic, so that was bothering me. I don't like what the bottom of the paths look like, so that was bothering me. So a lot of reasons why I decided not to do that. The first of many planters to come. So again, this is going to be sort of a green space now. I was going to do a lot of water features, but to do all of the vegetation as well as the requirements of the animal itself as well as water features proved to be a little bit, well, here's that word again, claustrophobic. So instead, I go with a multi-tiered sort of garden situation, and everything that the animal requires as well. So the water feature will have to wait. I'm sure some of you are rejoicing at hearing that news, and that's completely fair. Who knows? Maybe we'll find a way to get something in here, but of course, it being an enclosure now, we'd have to also concern ourselves with the cleanliness of the water and the potability of the water. Make sure it's drinkable, if you will. Potable. It's either potable or potable. Either way. So that's just wanted to touch on that a little bit because I know I talked about my plans here last session, and they are, again, slightly evolving because of, well, this sudden and potentially awkward left turn that we've taken. But overall, pretty pleased with that change in decision as well. I feel like, again, looking at the actual space, this is another thing that I always, like, make a mistake with, is I always underestimate how much space something will actually take. And so I get to building and everything gets larger and larger and larger. Anyway, time to build some climbing platforms because, of course, the lemurs, be they ring-tailed or red-ruffed, like to climb. And I wanted to make sure they were able to climb around, that they were able to hop, skip, and jump as they please. They were able to get to different levels for different purposes. But I also, of course, have to make sure that our keepers are able to access all the spots that are important for them to access. So food had to be on the ground level. Water I can actually move to an upper level or something if we're going to use the pipe, because that doesn't need filling or anything. So that's an option. But beyond that, I do make a couple of sleeping spots for them over the course of this time lapse. One of them is up high. My concern with that was that it was maybe a little difficult to see them when you're at the bottom to see up high. But I do still leave that one in, and I put one down low as well. So, you know, when they're sleeping, if you want to see them, you can. I don't know about making the interior of this enclosure visible from the ramp on the other side. I do not want guests stopping on the ramp because ramps don't allow us to put down bins, be they recycling or donation. They don't allow us, well, they don't allow us to do a lot of stuff. So I'd almost rather not deal with that at all. And now over here, you see me take a bit of a misstep. I do end up abandoning this idea, but I was like, oh, you know, there you can kind of do a walkthrough enclosure. So why don't we like expand? I was constantly worried that this was not going to be enough space for the animals. So I was like, how about we expand the enclosure to include this walkway, and you know, that would be nice. But it was, not only was it way too cumbersome because of how the terrain needed to be reworked, and you can see a fair bit of that going on over here. But not only that, but it was also just kind of messy looking, honestly. I didn't like how it looked. And I was thinking about, like, okay, well, how do we actually prevent the animal from escaping? What do we put down? And everything that came to mind was kind of like gamey. I didn't really want to do that here. So I ultimately decided to scrap this idea. Not only because of that, like, kind of concern for the gaminess and whatnot, but also because I just didn't like how this space felt after I raised these walls higher. And I was just like, nah, this is not good. I went way too far down the rabbit hole. I was just like, no, undo all that, pull it all back. Let's get back to using this, like, again, I guess it's a part of the challenge that I set out for myself as well. It's like, let's use this restricted area rather than just expand it for the sake of expanding it. I mean, the concern is still very much real. I am still very much concerned there's not enough room, for the animals. But, you know, that's another matter entirely. I shouldn't quadruple the space until I've tested it out and checked it. And you can see over here again playing with this like little roof idea. Now, I'm struggling with the roof a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I really like what this looks like. I really love the shadow it casts as well. But to get it to attach to the space is proving rather difficult. And I touch more on that after the time lapse, so I'll leave that for future Past Party Elite, but I just want to touch on these little like round, well, rings that I'm using, because they're rings, and it's the anyway. I like these kinds of weird floating planters. I'm a big fan of this kind of stuff. If they weren't so like often extremely tacky, I would probably have quite a few of them in my own like house as well. I like what they look like. I like what they feel like. They can be a little difficult, obviously, to traverse as well, depending on the kind of room you have. I probably don't have room for any of these, but I thought I'd put them in here, not only for the ring joke, but also because I wanted to try some interesting things. Well, hopefully this is interesting. Try some interesting things with how vegetation is being integrated and implemented and used. So thought that was a little fun. Unfortunately, the lemurs are not able to climb on the actual rings themselves, but they are able to climb on the little wooden pieces that they are attached to. We might actually see them using the I don't know, they're not going to sit on them or anything, but they might, you know, walk through them at the very least, or climb through them at the very least. We'll see. We'll see. Again, looking around at some pieces over here, still familiarizing myself with the Africa pieces, wondering if there's anything else I want to pull from those, or if I want to stick to the pieces that I have already. If I've got sort of my my like collection of modular pieces that now is a matter of duplicating, placing, coloring, rotating, that kind of stuff. And I feel like we're pretty much there. Gonna add this kind of top level planter over here now. Gonna add, well, you know, hopefully be adding ways for the lemurs to access this, the top of this little climbing platform, jungle gym thing, if you will. But also, yeah, this planter at the top, like I said, I wanted to add a bit of verticality. So doing this, we actually end up doing another one later on as well. It feels different, and you know, I quite like it. I quite like it. I mean, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you think it's a little, I don't know, weird or out of place or anything like that. But I think it's interesting. It's not like anything we've done before, not that I think at least. But it's like a hanging planter. I don't know. I thought it was neat. Now over here, we're working on the you know, finally enclosing this enclosure. Bit of a struggle over here finding the right pieces, and again, can't use any of the solid pieces from the barrier because, you know, it's obstructed because the floor is, I don't know, it's unfortunate, but I had to make do with the glass walls over here. I'm okay with the glass walls. The problem is connecting those glass walls to the dome that I have, and I might need to sacrifice that dome, unfortunately. I like it, but I might need to sacrifice it. Also here you can see making some adjustments to fit these pieces. This space keeps on evolving, and it will continue to do so, I think, actually next session as well, as I try to wrap this space up. But yeah, this area continue to evolve to make up for, again, like I was saying, right? Like I have ideas and I try to implement them, and I go, oh wow, this piece is 1.5 times larger than I initially had anticipated. Whoops, now we got to adjust a little bit. So not overdoing it, but still having to do it from time to time. But yeah, so you can see I kind of like abandoned the roof temporarily over here. I'm just like, I don't know what to do with it right now. We'll come back to it later. But even at the end of this time lapse, it's kind of at the same state. I just don't know how to transition from the wall to the dome. I get some flat pieces, I suppose. I even try at one point stacking multiple dome pieces to see if that works, but to no avail. Gonna have to think about it. Gonna have to think about it a little bit. But otherwise, you know, just setting that aside for now so I don't just find myself stuck for the rest of this time lapse. I want to make sure we accomplish some of the other things. So you can see me adding, I believe, what is the final planter. So we've got one on the ground level. Well, rather we have two on the ground level. One the mid level over here alongside the little ball toy, and then one at the height up there. So felt like a fun bit of variety. Felt interesting. Felt new. I always try to do new things. I don't know. I just, not just for the sake of novelty, but for the sake of this interest factor or what have you. I don't know what to call it, but like, I don't know, just keep things fresh, right? Gotta keep things fresh. But yeah, you can see I struggle a little bit as well with the terrain wanting to bump up, obviously, but fortunately, I mean, okay, I should touch on this as well. I wanted to make sure the animals actually had ground to walk on, not just the artificial flooring. Even though it's, you know, natural materials with, you know, clay and mud and whatnot, I wanted them to have, you know, soil or mud or grass or whatever it is they want to walk on. I want them to actually have some of that. So integrated that into our structure as well internally, having the planters and the the raised platforms and ridges sort of holding the ground in place. I actually feel like it works quite nicely. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the time lapse today. Lots more work to do in this space, obviously, but the time lapse was already getting pretty long, and I was worried I was not going to be able to release this episode in time. Hopefully you all like this space. If you do, if you don't, if you have any thoughts, opinions, suggestions, feelings, anything you'd like to share, as always, feel free to do that in the comments down below, because I will be continuing this work next time. But for now, back to regular speed. All right, folks, we are back from that time lapse, and my oh my, what a time lapse it was. A lot of concerns while doing that build, and there's still a fair bit of work to do with this enclosure, obviously, I'm sure you could tell. But I uncovered some of those, you know, as I do, uncovered some of those issues and potential struggles as I was building the space out and adding more elements to it. I really want to figure out what to do with this roof. Like, I don't know if I want to leave an open space over here. I like this dome shape. I like the shadows it casts as well. Like, that looks, to me, this looks absolutely beautiful. But at the same time, this is weird. So there's some stuff to figure out about this. There's some stuff to figure out, obviously, about like how it connects to the floor. I need to make some minor adjustments here and there. Pretty like satisfied overall with the interior. There's still a little bit of work that needs to be done, obviously, in terms of perfecting some placements. You saw I kept having to adjust the outer perimeter of this area. Overall, still pleased with the shape of it. Obviously, some issues, you know, around these parts as well. But the reason why I'm not like so focused on fixing some of these issues right now is because feel like I may have gone the other way with this enclosure. Normally I go way too big and, you know, there's way too much room and the animals are running around with, you know, well, too much room. I think right now, this time around, I've made an enclosure with far too little room. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to adjust this over here to actually maybe make a connection over here, or maybe even from this column over here, we'll continue on to connect straight, and then this might be enough extra room. We'll see. What I wanted to do was I wanted to get the animal in, see how it responds to the space, see what it likes, see what it hates, and adjust accordingly. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty pleased with the concept and the execution of it for the most part. Like I said, there are things I want to change. There are things I want to edit, but obviously, I just want to see how much of a mistake I may have made over here. Gotten a little too ambitious in the other direction. Okay, so what do we need to do over here? The ring-tailed lemur. Go ahead and see how much they cost me here. Ring-tailed lemur. Oh, actually, before I do that, I do want to take a look at our trade history. Did we manage to trade anybody else out? Forget who the last listing was in our trade history, but I just want to very quickly check. Looks like Estli, I'm pretty sure, was a new trade, right? Did we try to retrade Chahaya a second time over? I thought we did. I remember Galena and Naira, I'm pretty sure. Can't remember with 100% certainty, but still, I think overall that was a pretty good trade session. A pretty good trade session overall. How many animals are we left with? We're not going to have another one for a while. Doing them back-to-back in like back-to-back episodes, especially at that quantity, is something I try to avoid as much as possible. Let's maybe go ahead and get some of our lions back in, though. Because like I've said in the past, like we've got the money for them now, so oh, you know what? It just got to unpause. Right, that's what it was, because we were unpaused basically all of last session. But yeah, overall, I think we did pretty well with our trade session. The next one's going to be a while away. I try not to do them back to back, or if I do trading, you know, like one-offs or two-offs is one thing, but doing like 20 animals in one sitting in back-to-back episodes, I understand that can be a bit much. Anyway, sorry, I keep closing this. Ring-tailed lemur. R for ring. There's a red ruffed. Ring. Where are you? Ring-tailed lemur. Oh, they're not that expensive, are they? Aralova and Finiri. You recognize the naming convention. I mean, Madagascar. What language is... Actually, you know, I'm not very familiar with Madagascar. Outside of its, like, most basic bits of information, but, like, from a cultural perspective, it just occurred to me. Anyway, Frontier Zoo. Oh, the funny point by somebody that, what if someone has... Oh, no, you know what? Last session, or a couple sessions ago, I remarked on how there was a Frontier Zoo doesn't normally, as far as my memory serves, sell for conservation credits. And someone was like, ooh, what if it's a player that named their zoo Frontier Zoo? And I was like, that's pretty clever. But no, the icon here is different. So good on Frontier for preempting that, because I totally see that as a thing people might try. But let's see, these stats aren't atrocious. They're actually all right. Let's go ahead and adopt you, Aralova. Let's move you over to quarantine first. I might actually, it's been mentioned a couple times, I might actually get a quarantine over on that side soon as well. Aralova, and let's go ahead and get, just for the quicker delivery, I suppose. These are actually pretty good stats. Go ahead and adopt you. Ooh, of course. Of course, right after I pick one up, we got a gold rank one available here. Let me just check something here. Up to 1 male, 29 females. Man. Only a slight loss. It's only a slight loss. Oh, wow, look at that. Whoa. I guess Putz Zoo is currently putzing his ring-tailed lemurs up for sale. Alright, let's see. Go ahead and get Tilavoheri. Really a bit bummed about that. But if it's a gold rank and it's not that expensive, then I think it's the right call. And we also have who? Finiri. Frontier Zoo, not the same zoo. You should be fine. Hopefully. Size is a little bit on the smaller side, but not the end of the world. Move you into quarantine as well. Let's go ahead and see if we can't, in animal storage, immediately retrade Aralova over here. Yeah, you can see... I don't know. Maybe it wasn't worth it. maybe I was a bit of a fool there, but what's done is done. We can keep Aralova here, much like we did with Tumaini. We can keep Aralova here, and when the time comes, we can do a little switch, you know, right? A little swap around. Now, I want to mention as well, actually, on the topic of, well, swapping things around and where we are right now. Quite a few of you have pointed out that, like, the warthogs feel like they've been left behind and they've been kind of neglected and things like that. Fear not. I have some pretty big plans for the warthogs, actually, which is why I haven't... oh, that looks so cool. I'm really pleased with this. But yeah, I have some plans for the warthogs. What are you doing over here? You're supposed to be taken to the trade center right now, right? Because we're bringing in... Gave these orders last time. I'm assuming you're going to get scooped up by somebody or something? Anything? No? I'm going to keep an eye on this. But yeah, so the warthogs, they aren't being neglected. And I'm sorry you feel that way. But I do have plans for them. I have pretty big plans for them in how I want to integrate their enclosure. Not necessarily as in reversal, but in terms of decoration and styling and whatnot with the giraffe/zebra experience I'm planning over here. Which is why, like, I feel like I haven't mentioned them in a while, and that's absolutely true. But that's because in my head I've got like an idea for them, and I feel like I've spoken about it, even though I haven't. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to just mention that today as well, because I saw some comments mentioning that. But yes, there are plans over here. Do we? I just gotta check over here. You're both of the emails. Where is? Oh, by the way, I want to point out before we miss it, we actually got some people coming over here, which is nice to see. I will probably change these to be underground paths instead. One thing I don't like about underground paths is how the tunneling looks. It really looks kind of ugly, in my opinion, until you like massage it and add rocks and stuff. So, I mean, I might keep it this way and just make a nice structure, because I would like to cover all the railroad like the train stations, or we might go under as well. It could go either way. Yeah, okay, so Tumaini was delivered. Good stuff. So let's go ahead and move you, buddy, over to the trade center. I believe... I want to make sure... Yep, trade center. Do not want to deliver you to Croc Rock, which it looked like it was almost letting me do there. Okay, good. So Tumaini's been delivered over here. What have we got going on over here? Research. Unfortunate. Go ahead and say hello to some people. Why not? Hello, hello. Hello, and hello. Might as well collect some of those conservation credits, right? Alright, good stuff. And the animals will soon be ready to come over here. And again, we will be... Not sure exactly how yet. But look at that. That's a sizable crowd. A sizable crowd. I'm not actually... Hold on. Can we even... Gonna have to figure out how to attach... we already have to figure out how to get guests from down here to up this level. I mean, it'll probably be a set of stairs and then an elevator as well to, like, kind of, you know, do what we did over at Camp Capuchin as well, where we had stairs, but we also have a nice little elevator to still, like, make considerations for accessibility. But yeah, we'll have to figure something out, because connecting up here isn't going to happen unless we change how this section works. We'll figure something out, but this is good to see. I mean, look at that, actually. We've got quite a few people using both sides, so there's the answer to that question. Yes, apparently guests will use both directions. These guys, I assume, are like headed home or something to go to Croc Rock or Choo Choo Loo. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I guess there's no washroom here, right? We gotta add one. Why'd you turn around? Is it too long? You couldn't queue up? You can't tell a gorilla apart from something else. That's on you, I'm gonna say. Anyway, we'll tackle that some other time. I believe all of our animals are ready to move. Go ahead and move you guys in. Let's go. Come on now. And of course, I will need a name for this enclosure as well. I've got a couple names for the stuff around here. Don't worry, I've got them noted down. But you know how y'all know how I can be sometimes. I like to like reach that finishing touch before I put the name down as a part of the finishing touch. Look at this! This is so cool, seeing like guests up over here. Now, I mean, I might actually want to reduce the density of the trees a little bit. You can definitely still see them. You can still see them around. They're still very much visible. Oh man, this is so good. Oh, it's so good to just see guests out over here. Obviously, by virtue of the trains, but also, you know, just like there's more stuff to see here now as well. I will be reworking this stuff, by the way. I agree with a lot of the criticisms of the like water features and whatnot, and I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure out a way to make this work a lot better. There you are. Surprised I saw that one. I should also get rid of these that are flowing backwards. If I could find them. Like, how do I... There's no, like, X-ray vision or anything. It's like, how am I supposed to... Maybe something to reserve for some other time. But I want to get rid of the backwards flowing, and it was pointed out as well that some of these are actually floating. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Let's go ahead and pull you down a little bit. There we go. And pull you down a little bit as well. There we go. That ought to work. I believe we have a floating one over here as well. Yes, we do. Cool. Again, thank you and your eagle eyes for noticing that and pointing that out. Where is... I guess I won't be able to... Yeah, it's probably like inside the rock. Habitat cleanliness is a disease risk. That's unacceptable. Where's that? The llamas? Llama lane. All a keeper. We've had this a couple times in the past. Hopefully it's not going to make a comeback now. And actually, before I forget, zoo, staff, work zones, Africa West. Gotta add our newest addition here. Come on, come on, let me click. I want to see the... Yeah. Did I miss it? Am I just going to see the handshake again? Not even the handshake this time. Ooh. Both, like, turned their backs to each other and just walked away. Tells a story, doesn't it? Can we expect babies? No, not yet. That's too bad. Don't know which one of them was better. Don't know which one of them was better. Have we had a delivery here yet? It is a long way to go. It is a long way to go. Okay, you, my good friend, you will move to the trade center. Unfortunately. There we go. Baraka's about to mate. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah, they're all okay to do that now. No more inbreeding concerns. Overlapping education speakers. I'm guessing that's just because crowds or, yeah, groups are going over at the same time. Oh, good stuff. We have had conception. There we go. We have arrived. How do you feel about the space? Not enough space, eh? Yeah, they need a fair bit more room. They need a fair bit more room. Okay, not a problem, not a problem. Something I can definitely sort out. Too much short grass as well, you're saying? Oh, don't tell me you can escape. You shouldn't be able to escape. You're good, you can climb. Yeah, they got access to everything up there. Good stuff. No escapes I'm seeing. Alright, good stuff, good stuff. We definitely need more space for them. How did this already start to get rotten? What's that about? Clean this up. Again, there's like... Working in such a confined space is such an interesting... has been such an interesting experience for me. Pull you back down a little bit. There we go. Good, they are able to move around here. That's good. I don't think anyone will have any escapes. They're able to get down over here? No, the vegetation is stopping them. Get rid of you. I want to make sure they're able to actually get to the ball over there. There we go. They're able to get down over here. Excellent. Good stuff, good stuff. Or they can hop, 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 and chill up over here. I don't know if I like this in black, actually. I was thinking black and white. Oh, look at that. Whoa, look at that. Good stuff. Look at that jump, eh? Oh, and... there we go. Boom. Had to capture it. I had to capture it. Such a... Let me see if I can get a nice shot over here. He's like, whoa. They're so cute. Those teeth are really sharp. It's a lot sharper than I would have expected, actually. They're so cute. But yeah, I gotta do something about that roof. It looks really funky, obviously. It's not right. It ain't right. Where'd our other buddy go? Oh, no. No. Of course. It doesn't count this as an escape. Oh, I guess, right, technically. This clipping, man. I don't... Come on, man. Work with me, game. Don't give me that. That... Had to happen. Had to happen. Oh, let's pull you in like this. There. That should solve that problem, hopefully. Well, move you back here. Where is our other? Where is our other lemur? Buddy. Okay, he's down here. Yeah, so we need less short grass, right? So we can go ahead and change that. I'm cool with that. Perfect. I was actually a little worried about that, but it seems like we're good there. Hold on, terrain. Even less short grass. And keep this open here. Put some rock. There we go, that's all good. Oh, not enough climbable area either. Wow, they need a fair bit more, eh? Okay, not a problem. That's not a problem at all. I can probably, you know, what I can do is I can make more climbing logs like out over here. I can expand this a little bit further as well. I believe they're able to reach this. Check. Here, we can do like... I don't know if I like this. Nah, you know what? Let's get rid of that. I'm rushing things, and I shouldn't rush things. That's how you get bad end results. So what all do we need to correct? We need to get some more room. We need to basically double the space, eh? Okay, so what we're probably going to do is, yeah, we're probably going to expand this over here so that this entire area is a part of the enclosure too. Guests will be able to see it from over here. Yeah, they will. Okay, good stuff. That might be enough, and if it's not enough, then what? If it's not enough, then we will maybe include the staff path as a part of the enclosure. You might have seen, like, during the time lapse, I was hesitating or attempted to include this as a part of their enclosure, but it was a little messy. I didn't quite care for how it looked. But that's an important issue we have to fix. The climbable area being so low, that's actually... Oh, no, okay, there we go. Oh, you know what? It's because I shifted this thing, that's why. Yeah, I was like, I could have sworn that was green earlier. Okay, we're close. Now, I've been told that this, we don't need to add more space as more animals get added. I don't know how accurate that is. I've been told, like, that's the maximum requirement or what have you. So let me know if I'm mistaken there. We need another female here. So that's good to know. And apart from that, yeah, a couple of hard shelters good, terrain's good, all the stuff's good. There's a lot of stuff is doing okay. But yeah, one more female. We need some more toys, evidently. I guess maybe this one can't be reached. Let's go ahead and move you over to here. Where'd you go, buddy? Where'd you go? Where did they go? That was fast. Losing my lemurs. Oh, there you go. How did I not see you? Oh, I definitely know how I didn't see you. That's kind of cute, actually. That's kind of cute. If thumbnails weren't so small, that might have been the thumbnail for today's episode. Look at the way it catches the orange as well, eh? Beautiful. Beautiful. Such cuties. They are such cuties. Especially when they contort that weird way when the game's trying to, like, make animations work. Yeah, alright, so space. One more female. Gonna be an interesting challenge. Gonna be an interesting challenge. But folks, that's a challenge we're gonna tackle next time. This is, we're gonna call it a session. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was definitely fun adding, not just adding a new animal, but trying to take on this challenge of this, like, tight, oh, sky, of this tightly enclosed space. Hopefully we're gonna see some guests checking them out soon. And we'll get some education boards and stuff like that down as well. But all that stuff will come next time. I'm pretty pleased with how this has worked out overall. Obviously, there are some issues. Had a feeling we were going to have them anyway, so I'm not too surprised or shocked by them. But yeah, we'll sort them out next session. We'll get the education boards and stuff down next session as well. Hopefully this will all come together nicely. I mean, I like this overall. It changes the... it evolves the idea, I think, quite nicely. to a nice next step. I'm really pleased with how the structure is looking as well. Like, that's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm quite pleased. I hope y'all are as well. But folks, that's what we're going to call it a session. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. As always, it makes a massive difference in how I approach content on the channel, what I do more or less of, and how I go about doing it. Once again, thank you so much for joining me for these 50 episodes of Elite Zoo South. Let's not forget how we decided to remember this this session. Maybe we'll do a tour soon, but yeah, we're definitely running out of time today. The session's gone on for longer than I'd initially anticipated as well. Hope you all enjoyed it. Again, if you did, you know what to do. As always, a massive thanks goes out to all of my channel members and patrons for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Till next time. Cheers.